Welcome back, my brothers. As promised, today I'll be taking you through how to achieve an A ranking in all time trials currently in Space Marine 2. Please note, if you are in a party, you'll see the trials, but they will be currently inaccessible, as you must be playing in solo to attempt them. So make sure you're not in a party, then come back to the armoring hall to look at the class selection screen. This also can't be done in campaign mode, as you won't see the classes listed. So once you have done that, you're now ready to attempt the trials. And if you don't know exactly what these are, they are a fantastic way to learn a bit more about each class, along with the core mechanics built around each one. And also they will net you a bunch of new armory data and some of that much sought after requisition, which is needed to unlock everything from emblems and chapter colors all the way to new perks and weapons. So without further ado, we'll jump into the class I believe to have the easiest class trials, that being heavy, and ending with the toughest. And of course, as always, there will be chapters in the video for your viewing convenience. So let's jump straight into the heavy trials now, starting with the Iron Halo. First up, Iron Halo is the absolute easiest trial in the entire game. Just blast the front two groups with your heavy bolter and then switch to your plasma pistol to snipe the guy at the back. And you should easily be able to complete this one in 20 seconds. Oh, and of course, as the trial suggests, pop your Iron Halo so you're taking less ranged damage. The next one, Ceramite Strongpoint, don't leave the area and complete it in 60 seconds or less. The area capture percentage will only increase if you are the only thing in the area, so just keep using your melter to make sure no melee enemies can get close to you. And then feel free to switch to your plasma pistol to snipe the ranged guys, but honestly, with your Iron Halo, you can pretty much just stand there, making sure that nothing gets near to you, and this is another really easy one. I messed this up big time and was far slower than I should have been, and I still got an A rank on my first try. And finally, round 3, covering fire. The only issue here is not letting your weapon overheat. Just make sure you're conscious about that and switch between your primary and your secondary, and you should have absolutely no issues. And don't forget, if you spam the interact button, you will make your weapons cool down faster as well. So after each shot, spam square or E or F or whatever it is for you to stop your weapon from overheating, and you'll do this one absolutely no problems. Next up, we're going to look at the Vanguard, starting with Perfectly Timed. In this one, you've got to complete it in 80 seconds whilst hitting 5 enemies with your grapnel launcher and 5 enemies with melee attacks. This is really simple. You can get your grapnel launcher and your melee attacks almost instantly, and then it's just making sure you kill things quick enough. And with 80 seconds, this is one of the longest trials. You have absolutely plenty of time to do this. I would say favour your ranged weapon over your melee because it's far more powerful than the combat knife. And then for this last set, you can just shoot them from your starting platform, or you can use your grapnel to jump over to them. Either way, you should finish this one in absolutely loads of time. For the next one, grapnel launcher, you have to complete this in 40 seconds. I would advise using your gun a hell of a lot more than I did. It's far more efficient than your combat knife. And please remember, the hive mind is active for the Tyranids, meaning as soon as you kill the Majoris enemies, the Minoris enemies will automatically die. So just focus on them for each of the 3 platforms, and you should absolutely rinse this. So for the first platform, grapple over to the first guy, and ideally just blast him with your rifle because he will die a lot quicker than he did for me. Then over to the second platform, again, just focus on the big enemy. As soon as he's in execute range, execute him, and all of the minor enemies will die as well. And then grapple back over to your starting platform, same thing again, and you should finish this one with absolutely no problems at all. And finally, for the Vanguard, we have got Cut the Synapse. This was the one I struggled with the most for the Vanguard. You basically just need to use your grapnel launcher to fly around the arena as quickly as possible, focusing down the Majoris enemies. You will get both charges back, and your weapon will fully replenish its ammo each time you kill one. And once the second guy's dead back where you spawned, you will find a few of the minor enemies didn't completely die, so just shoot them with your gun or run up and stab them, and again, you'll have this no problems at all. Now we're moving on to the final of the easy 3, in my opinion, and that is the Bulwark. Firstly, one of the easiest in the game is Chapter Banner. All you need to do is complete this in 40 seconds and make sure your ally doesn't go down. This is another one where I favoured my melee weapon far more than I think you should. Your plasma pistol is very powerful, and as long as you place your banner down to make sure you keep his armour up, the two of you should melt through these enemies in seconds. The next one is Shield of the Imperium, which you need to complete within 2 minutes, hit 10 enemies with Shield Bash, and protect your ally from incapacitation. Strangely, the first time I did this, it glitched, and I definitely checked off the 10 shield bashes, but I had to do it again because for some reason it didn't register that. But you get an absolute lifetime to complete this. 2 minutes is so long. So focus on protecting your ally so he doesn't go down, and as long as you make sure you've definitely got them 10 shield bashes before anything else, maybe get a few more in there just in case so it actually registers. The rest of this one should be a cakewalk. And finally, for the Bulwark, we have got Make Your Stand, which again you have to complete within 120 seconds, and you have to hit 10 enemies with Shield Bash. Please note with this one, it doesn't make it clear initially, but there are actually 2 areas you have to defend. I didn't realise that, so I stood in the first area for quite some time after completely successfully defending it, wondering why the mission wasn't ending. That's because there are 2 of them. So make sure you're using your pistol and shooting enemies as much as possible so they can't get into the area, because remember, if enemies are in the area, that percentage is not increasing. Still, you've got 2 full minutes to complete this, so absolutely loads of time. As you can see, even with me messing up quite a few times, I still completed it with 30 seconds to spare. And with that, the 3 easy classes are done. We're now going to take a look at the Sniper. First up is shooting range, which I actually found really easy, and I definitely didn't do this as efficiently as I could. You've got a really powerful sniper and you've got a decent pistol as well, so just switch between the 2 weapons, clearing out all the enemies as fast as you can. As you can see, you need to do it in 40 seconds. I did it in 26. Easy peasy. This one shouldn't cause any issues for you. Next up is the sniper's version of Cut the Synapse. This one is more annoying than anything, because you're not allowed to kill any minor enemies with any weapons. So just cloak up and run away from them to snipe the Majorus enemies as fast as you can. Deal with the 2 on your platform with you on the left and right hand sides first, and that will kill all of the enemies on your platform, and now you're free to snipe the guy over on the other platform and win this trial easy peasy. As you can see, another one where we had a whole minute to complete it, and I did it in a little over 30 seconds. And finally, for Sniper, we have got Camo Cloak. This took me many attempts, and I got so close so many times, slowly whittling my time down to 1 minute 10 and then 1 minute 5. And there's a few different tactics you can employ. The tactic I thought would work the best is using my melter bomb on this first group of enemies, blowing them up in one shot, and then immediately reviving the heavy. For some reason this didn't work for me, and this made me far slower than the tactic I ended up going with in the end. So let's now take a look at my successful attempt, and I'll talk you through what I did to get an A rank on this challenge. We're going to start by sprinting towards the heavy and helping him up whilst still in cloak. Then, using the increased crit strike from the camo cloak, we're going to start taking down the Tyranid warrior with the venom cannon. And once we've got a bit of breathing room, we can then revive the tactical. And as you can see, this is really sloppy so far. I've only got 20 seconds left. But the thing that really turns this around is getting all of the Tyranid warriors that spawned to clump up and use the melter bomb on them. Now, with the help of the heavy and the tactical, we can just absolutely annihilate the remaining enemies and do this with 10 seconds to spare, despite having a really sloppy start to this trial. Now it's time for the assault, and we will start off with death from above. You want to start off by immediately jumping into the skies and using your ground pound on the first few sets of enemies, ticking off 2 of the 3 success criteria for the mission. Also, for some reason, your jetpack is so much more pathetic in the time trials than it is in the campaign, so don't try and use it to jump up ledges, it just doesn't go far enough. And also, favour your pistol over your hammer, because it's just far quicker and it does a lot more DPS. Anyway, once you've dealt with all the enemies that are on your starting platform, if you have a jump charge left, you can jump over to the other platform for another ground pound, instantly taking out all of the Minoris enemies. I unfortunately wasted mine, but as you can see, the pistol alone is strong enough to easily clear this mission in plenty of time. Next up is Jump Pack. This one just needs to be completed within 40 seconds. And for some reason, hopefully this is fixed for the main release of the game, but during early access, I find that my jump pack was not working half the time, and that's the only reason I kept failing this mission again and again. I'd get to the edge of a platform, I would hold triangle, and I would not jump, I would just fall off the edge of the platform. So I had to delay it and wait a few seconds before doing the jump, which meant my time could have been so much quicker than it was, but I was having to be super cautious for when I used the jump pack. Apart from that though, you're literally just swinging your hammer around and using your ground pound. And without any executions or pistol usage, literally just using ground pounds and swinging our hammer, this one is completed really, really easily. Now for the really tough one, because of the pathetic jump pack in the trials, this is cover ground. Unfortunately, as you can see, you can't jump up to these platforms. So after skipping many failed attempts, let me show you what I finally did to complete this one successfully. You are going to start off by sprinting forwards and using 2 ground pounds to get to the Tyranid warrior at the other end of the arena as quickly as possible. And then use any combination of your hammer, parries, and your execute to kill him as quick as you can. Then fly back to the other side of the arena and do the exact same thing. And the hive mind should take care of the rest for you and will insta-kill all 4 of the enemies that you couldn't reach on the platforms above. That's the trick, that's the tip that I kept missing. Just focus on the 2 Majoris enemies and the hive mind will do the rest. And now, finally, the 3 that gave me hell, surprisingly, because I really thought this would be like the beginner class. This is Tactical Trials. We'll start off by looking at Hidden Hunter. For this one, you need to kill 5 enemies with headshots, reveal the Lictor with an Auspex, and kill him within the time limit. Again, just like an earlier trial, please remember, you only need to get 5 headshots. You don't need to kill all of the minor enemies. So focus on getting them 5 headshots as quick as you can, and then if you want, you can just ignore them and focus on the Lictor. Now that you know all of that, let me skip to my successful attempt and show you how it went for me. So obviously at the start, I'm getting all my headshots as quick as I can before the Lictor gets anywhere near me. Unfortunately, he does manage to gank me, but shortly after that, I get off my Auspex scan, which stops him from going invisible. And now, because he's taking double damage, I can absolutely wreck his face within seconds with a really nice perfect parry straight into an execute. And I do it with nearly 25 seconds to spare. Next up is the aptly named Auspex scan, which you need to complete within 40 seconds. This, for me, was the second toughest trial in the whole game. I've always been a keyboard and mouse player, so trying to aim with the controller was an absolute nightmare, but I can't play this game with anything but a controller, because I just feel the controls are so much better and so much more responsive. Basically, the only tips I can really give you for this, apart from being very accurate, is to make sure that you really efficiently and effectively use your Auspex scan. You need to get that targeted on all 3 Majoris enemies, or they just won't take enough damage and they will not die quick enough. My very first attempt, I did this in 47 seconds, and then I just got slower and worse for about 10 minutes, until finally we get to this successful attempt. Straight away, we get a brilliant perfect parry after a few more slashes straight into an execute, and I just melee him to death instead of executing him because it's far quicker. Second enemy, perfect Auspex scan, and I managed to kill him with just 1 round of my magazine. He puts all of the Minoris enemies into very close to deado range, and we then use our rifle to finish them off. And that luckily leaves me with 20 seconds to try and take out this guy. So we're going to wait until he stops moving as much and then put down the Auspex scan. Now I just need to try and shoot him as efficiently as I possibly can. And I literally get this with probably less than a millisecond to spare. I swear that timer hung on 40 seconds for the longest time. but thank God I just managed to do it. Really tough trial unless you are very, very accurate at long range. And finally, we have now got Battlefield Awareness. This one I found an absolute bloody nightmare, just because there are so many enemies in this trial. The only tip I can really give you is talk you through the strategy I used, so I will skip to my successful attempt and show you what I did. We're going to start off by sprinting to the middle and one-shotting this group of enemies that spawn right in front of us. Then switch to your pistol and blow up the 2 sets of barrels on either ledge to take out the 2 sets of enemies up there. Now again, you're going to be as efficient as you can with the melter to take out the second set of enemies that spawn on the right. Killing the Majorus enemy will automatically put you back on full ammo again, so there's no need to reload. Now place down your Auspex and do the same thing with the other set of enemies that just spawned towards the back right hand side. And when you're nearly out of ammo, get another execute so it auto reloads for you. Now as you see, I'll blow up the barrels on the back right hand side here to kill the Tyranid with the cannon, place down my Auspex and use that to defeat the last Tyranid warrior with less than a second to spare. You need to be very, very precise with these final few trials. But hopefully you can use the techniques I just showed you, add your own spin to it, make it even better, even quicker, and you should be able to beat them without too many problems. Good luck with the trials, I hope this helped. As always, make sure you subscribe for more Space Marine 2 content, and all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.